In the opening scene, a mysterious white-haired girl stalks a mobster through Japan's dark city alleyways. She playfully chases him until cornering her prey. Without speaking a word to the terrified man, she draws her specialized gun, loads it with a white substance emerging from her wrist, and fires a shot through his chest. The man dies instantly, and the enigmatic girl silently disappears. Elsewhere in the city, Seigi Akatsuka, a middle school student, fights off two troublemakers to protect an unusual man from being robbed. After the attackers flee, the injured man lifts his head to thank Seigi. Grateful for the rescue, he reaches into his bag and retrieves a transparent material containing an embedded tattoo. He places it on Seigi's hands and waits for it to take effect. Though Seigi asks about the tattoo's meaning, the material dissolves into his palm before he receives an answer. Once the tattoo transfers completely, the man departs without further explanation. The next morning, Seigi rushes to meet his friend Tuko, who's waiting for him at school. In his haste, he fails to watch where he's going. Suddenly, the mysterious girl from the previous night appears out of nowhere and strikes him down. After knocking him over, she approaches and touches his palm. Upon feeling an unusual tingling sensation in her own palm, she leaves without uttering a word. Throughout first period, Seigi repeatedly examines the tattoo on his palm, ignoring his teacher's reprimands. After class ends, his friends notice the tattoo and question him about it. When Seigi shares how he got it, they tease him before one friend mentions a disturbing online rumor. According to the gossip, someone stole a classified combat sealing weapon developed by the American military. The thief, matching the description of the man Seigi encountered, has been distributing free tattoos to innocent people, consequently entangling them with the American military. As Seigi begins to contemplate these implications, Tuko suddenly appears and insists he accompany her shopping. Despite his attempts to decline, Tuko refuses to accept any excuses. Later, while Tuko shops for ingredients to prepare a rare curry dish, Seigi steps outside to call his grandfather. There, he encounters the mysterious girl again. She snatches his phone and flees, prompting Seigi to pursue her into the city's seedier districts. The strange girl, running at full speed, leads him to an abandoned building. When Seigi confronts her and demands his phone's return so he can get home before dark, she shows more interest in his hand tattoo than his concerns about time. Descending from her perch, she interrogates him about the tattoo while engaging him in combat. Seigi maintains a defensive stance initially before switching to an aggressive approach against her. Nevertheless, the strange girl overwhelmingly defeats him, eventually pinning him down and nearly driving a weapon into his head. Fortunately, she stops short and rises to speak with Seigi normally. He stands up and yells at her, calling her mentally unstable. The strange girl, however, expresses admiration for his display of strength. She reveals her own palm tattoo and explains these tattoos' significance to their bearers. The tattoo functions by harnessing power from the user's special trigger. Any object can serve this purpose. She reveals that her trigger is chalk. As the charge diminishes, the tattoo grants its wielder supernatural abilities to manipulate things at will. After this explanation, Seigi stands up, complaining about her complicated terminology. Despite her teenage appearance, she speaks like someone much older. The strange girl sighs and reveals her hidden ability that prevents her from aging. She then demonstrates her supernatural power using her triggers, showing Seigi her ability to create aerial explosions. Following this encounter, Seigi returns to train at his grandfather's dojo. His grandfather defeats him in practice and instructs him to become stronger if he truly wishes to follow his father's path. Seigi takes a moment for self-reflection before accepting this challenge. The next day at school, Seigi sits through his mundane first period with a visible forehead injury. Unbeknownst to him, the strange girl and her handler Tom are monitoring him from a nearby cafe. Once she confirms his well-being, the strange girl, whom Tom addresses as Izzy, puts away her binoculars and listens to Tom ramble about turning Seigi over to the army. Izzy simply requests that Tom leave Seigi to her as she drinks her hot coffee. That evening, Izzy follows Seigi home, pretending to be invisible. She continues this surveillance for 3 days until Tuko reaches her limit. While walking home with Seigi one evening, Tuko snaps and confronts Izzy about her constant following. She causes a scene on the street until Seigi calms her down, convincing her to head home while he handles the stalker situation. After Tuko leaves, he faces Izzy and requests that she simply approach and talk to him next time. Izzy appears momentarily dejected but recovers and converses normally with Seigi. He asks Izzy about her tattoo usage, hoping to activate his own powers using chalk. However, Izzy deflates his hopes, explaining that his trigger will differ from hers, apologizing that she can't assist him. Moments later, a massive man drags Tom to their location. The muscular figure immediately attacks Seigi, employing his tattoo powers. Izzy and Tom observe from the sidelines, recognizing the large man Wilson as merely a LA Mafia member who relies on raw strength against his opponents. He traveled to Japan to purchase tattoos from the Japanese Yakuza and has been assaulting them since. since. The battle between Seigi and Sealed Wilson intensifies, and Seigi realizes he must somehow activate his tattoo's powers to win. He attempts to strike the man's chin, but miscalculates, leaving himself vulnerable. Wilson grabs Seigi's neck and smashes him into the ground, breaking several ribs before raising his fist for a killing blow. At the crucial moment, Seigi accidentally triggers his tattoo's power, creating a void that instantly defeats the large man. Witnessing this, Izzy appears stunned, having never expected to find someone in Japan wielding the triggerless tattoo. Minutes after activating his tattoo's power, Seigi loses consciousness and dreams of a strange tattoo pattern. He suddenly awakens in his room to find Tom and Izzy rummaging through his belongings in search of compromising magazines. Seigi protests, demanding to know why they're invading his private space. Tom and Izzy tell him to calm down and clean up before their discussion. Once he's done, they identify themselves as United States Armed Forces members. They explain they're investigating sealed combat weapons stolen from their American research facility by a researcher. Given Seigi's permanent connection to the tattoo, they want him to join their search for the researcher. Seigi repeats their words and firmly refuses their offer. Tom explains his new reality, stating he has no choice but to join them, otherwise he'll never learn to control his initially unstable power. At this point, Seigi, desperate to maintain his normal high school life, reaches his breaking point. He grabs Izzy by the neck, threatening to expose them if they don't leave him alone. Izzy responds by pinning him to the floor, explaining the gravity of his situation. She gives him an ultimatum to reconsider his answer and provide a reasonable response. Should he reject their offer again, he'll be labeled an enemy of the state. They depart, leaving Seigi alone in his room to carefully consider his decision. The following day, Izzy transfers into Seigi's school as his new classmate. She introduces herself as Bluesy Fruzy, telling everyone they can call her Izzy. Seigi stares in disbelief, his mouth agape. The students are immediately drawn to Izzy's tall, slender figure. After class, the male students surround her, bombarding her with personal questions. Izzy, however, points to Seigi, declaring her interest lies solely with him. This revelation sparks such jealousy among the boys that they grab Seigi and toss him into the swimming pool below. Tuko approaches Izzy, confronting her about her harsh treatment of her Prince Charming Seigi. Izzy responds by glancing at Tuko's large chest before fondling it. When Seigi returns to the classroom, he scolds Izzy for toying with his friend in such a manner. During recess, Seigi leads Izzy to the rooftop and questions her about her transfer to his class. Izzy explains it's to stay close and protect him more effectively. After Seigi makes several comments about Izzy's appearance, her handler Tom appears to share his thoughts. They once again ask if Seigi will join their ranks to help capture the tattoo thief. Seigi requests another explanation of their tattoo mission, prompting Izzy to provide a detailed briefing about their efforts to prevent a war between America, their home country, and Serbia, which allegedly has gained considerable knowledge about sealed combat weapon technology in recent years. After evaluating their motives, Seigi agrees to join their mission to prevent war between the two countries, provided their intentions remain honorable. This condition satisfies Izzy and her handler, and they prepare to leave. They welcome Seigi to Team Blue Moon, warning him to be careful around blood, as it serves as his tattoo's trigger. Seigi watches them with a confused expression as they return downstairs to resume classes. While walking home, Tom praises Izzy for concealing the truth from Seigi and successfully recruiting him without complications. Izzy describes Seigi as naive, suggesting that withholding the truth is sometimes preferable. She concludes their discussion about Seigi by warning Tom against taking him back to America, fearing he might become a laboratory test subject due to his compatibility with the Voidmaker tattoo. Tom expresses surprise and teases Izzy about her humanitarian concerns for a boy she barely knows. When Izzy remains quiet, Tom apologizes for his insensitive remarks. As rain begins to fall, he excuses himself to attend to his duties. Elsewhere, a group called Brahmin escorts their leader, the Serbian kingdom's princess, to claim the throne following their successful coup d'etat. After Princess Aryabhata takes her position on the throne, she orders the captain of her covert squad, the Brahmin forces, to initiate the next phase of their plan. The captain removes his hat, vowing to eliminate her enemies. Arya speaks disparagingly about her father, calling him foolish for believing peace could exist between Serbia and America. The following day, Seigi follows a crudely drawn map to Team Blue's safe house. Upon reaching the marked location, he nervously approaches the door, startled by a crow before ringing the doorbell. Tom initially mistakes him for a newspaper deliverer, but after Seigi properly identifies himself, Tom invites him inside. Unknown to Seigi, Tuko had followed him to discover what he'd been doing secretly. As she moves from utility pole to utility pole, Tuko encounters an ominous figure who stares at her menacingly. The mysterious person attacks Tuko and possesses her body. Meanwhile, Seigi wanders through the house when Izzy calls to apologize for her absence. She leaves him in Tom's care, suggesting he direct any team-related questions to Tom. When Seigi tries to continue the conversation, she hangs up and returns to her business. Soon after, the house phone rings, and Tom sends Seigi to the basement to retrieve some cardboard materials. During Seigi's absence, Tom answers the phone and receives disturbing news about the coup d'etat from his informant. After hanging up, He becomes uncertain about his next move when repeated doorbell rings interrupt his thoughts. Upon opening the door, he encounters Tuco, now possessed by the mysterious girl, who proceeds to inflict fatal wounds in Tom's abdomen. Simultaneously, at the school, Izzy faces an attack from another Brahmin Forces member named Laka, who introduces himself as a single 22-year-old seeking a girlfriend. After explaining his motives, he launches a fierce assault against Izzy. He ultimately tears away her clothing, leaving only her skirt to admire. Izzy, however, maintains her composure and prepares to confront the strange man. Back at the safe house, Tuco confronts Seigi, declaring her intention to return the triggerless tattoo, Seigi's Voidmaker tattoo, to Princess Arya. During the intense face-off between the strange girl and Seigi, Tuco's consciousness is transported into the girl's memories. In the first memory, Tuco finds herself seated on a street, witnessing Princess Arya approaching a street rat, who resembles the strange girl she encountered. This stray girl, who had previously attacked the princess for demanding she lick her boot, faces an unexpected response. Instead of punishment for attempting to harm the destined princess, Arya decides to adopt her into her elite forces. She takes the young girl, named Iltutmish, Il for short, and seals her inclusion in the special squad with a kiss. Tom regains consciousness moments after Tuco's arrival and pleads with Seigi to retreat. When Seigi stands his ground, Tom informs him about a blood transfusion bag in a nearby box, instructing him to use it as his tattoo trigger. As Seigi rushes toward the bag, Tuco kicks it beyond his reach. Meanwhile, Izzy and Laka's battle continues throughout the school building, leaving destruction in their wake as they exchange injuries. Izzy narrowly escapes death by compressing air into a stone and forcing it to explode with tremendous force. Laka, disgusted by this evasive tactic, swears to defeat her in their next encounter. In the safe house, Seigi defends himself against Il's powerful assault as she delivers fierce kicks. Near the battle's end, she strikes a devastating blow to his left shoulder, hurls insults at him, and positions her weapon for a fatal strike. Tom, still immobilized on the floor, desperately reaches towards Seigi, but his body fails to respond. In this critical moment, Tuco's consciousness begins fighting to reclaim control of her body upon realizing Il's intentions toward her Prince Charming. This brief struggle creates an opening that allows Tom to regain some strength. He quickly instructs Seigi to pin Tuco's body down while he prepares to use his tattoo powers to expel Il from her body. Seigi acts swiftly, tripping Tuco to enable Tom's intervention. Tom rises and places his hand on Tuco's head to force Il out. The plan succeeds, and Tuco regains control of her body. Seigi examines Tuco for injuries, then, consumed by rage, positions himself between Tom and Il's intended attack. He deliberately places his tattooed hand in the attack's path, ensuring it bleeds to activate his powers. When his black void matter manifests, Seigi unleashes it to destroy half the safe house in an attempt to eliminate Il. However, Il survives and withdraws following Princess's orders. Izzy arrives at the house moments later to find her safe house completely destroyed. She encounters Tom, and they get into an argument about trivial matters. Meanwhile, Tuco bends down to check on her prince, Seigi, and scolds him for his excessive attempts to protect her. Seigi remains silent and apologizes for his earlier uncontrolled behavior. The scene shifts to the basement of their former safe house, where Izzy is training Seigi. It's revealed that Izzy and Tom had previously constructed a complete training facility in the basement. During their first sparring match, Izzy defeats Seigi. At the same time, Tom applies a band-aid to Tuco's head, which already contained one of the combat-sealed tattoos. While doing this, he removes his own tattoos and stores them for future use. When Seigi questions Tom about how and why he could remove his tattoo, Tom explains that his is a synthetic version of their body tattoos. Tom describes Seigi and Izzy's tattoos as ancient artifacts, their creation techniques lost to time. Finally, Izzy decides to show Seigi a photograph of the previous test subject who had his tattoo, wanting to demonstrate just how exceptional and dangerous his tattoo truly is. Seigi understands and pledges not to use the tattoo without supervision. Izzy proceeds to share additional crucial information about his tattoo and how to become stronger. Tom provides him with a small device capable of detecting nearby tattoo users. Seigi expresses his gratitude for their help before returning to his regular life. Once Seigi leaves, Tom and Izzy discuss their major concern: how others learned about Seigi and his new power. Tom's system check reveals no signs of information leakage. He suggests relocating Seigi to America for better protection, but Izzy dismisses this idea and exits the basement after requesting time from Tom. Meanwhile, Seigi and Tuco run toward their residence. Tuco expresses joy about sharing a secret with Seigi. She begins to say something more, nearly confessing her romantic feelings for him. Just as Seigi starts to catch on to her words, she jumps on her bicycle and rides ahead, stopping at the front where she discovers a cat protecting its kitten. Seigi uses this scene as motivation to grow stronger and continues running alongside Tuco. Shortly after, Il and Laka appear to check on the kittens. The mother cat brings one of her injured kittens, places it at Ill's feet, and then runs away. A few hours later, Izzy meets her supervisor, Lisa, for a shopping trip and endures an hour of Lisa's teasing. After gathering supplies for their next assignment, Lisa takes Izzy to a secure location to question her about the recent attack. Izzy, determined to protect Seigi's identity and power from her superiors, lies to Lisa, telling her not to be overly concerned. Lisa pretends not to notice the deception to avoid raising Izzy's suspicions. Instead, she orders more cakes and Jolly Ranchers to enjoy her free time with her favorite subordinate. Meanwhile, Ill takes the injured kitten home and gives it a bath before going to sleep. The kitten tries to escape her firm grip, but Ill manages to soothe it before heading to the living room for dinner. Laka, who has just finished preparing dinner, becomes irritated with the kitten and makes some unkind remarks. Ill punishes him for his comments, but then Laka reveals her new weapon and their next target, Lisa, Izzy's supervisor. At that moment, Seigi attempts to stop a mobster from stealing a tattoo. He moves elegantly through the walls of high-rise buildings around the asphalt and catches up to the frantic thief. When the thief realizes he's been caught, he tries to strike Seigi with a stick, but Seigi gracefully dodges while maintaining his tattoo powers. Izzy, watching the fight from a building top, guides Seigi and instructs him on adapting to his tattoo's powers in more dangerous real-life situations. Following her advice, Seigi defeats the thief using his signature tattoo drive. Afterward, Izzy praises his persistence and encourages him to train harder to overcome stronger opponents. Hours later, Ill returns the injured kitten to its mother in the alleyway before jumping into a hovering chopper to reach her next destination. Meanwhile, Lisa and her subordinates are enjoying their leisure time in their secret safe house. Within 2 minutes, Ill's chopper arrives at their safe house and deploys the deadly Schrodinger's cat, Ill, onto their building. Using her tattoo abilities, Ill phases through the roof to infiltrate undetected and eliminate as many of Lisa's subordinates as possible before they notice. Her plan succeeds perfectly as she takes down all of Lisa's subordinates in one swift move. After dispatching them all, she confronts Lisa, who activates her tattoo powers against Ill. Elsewhere, Tuco completes her 3.5-meter-long jump record for their school's PE team. While everyone congratulates her achievement, Izzy examines the tattoo on Tuco's head. Just then, Izzy receives an emergency call from Tom about saving Lisa's team. She obtains permission from her PE teacher to leave early and activates her tattoo powers. Seigi, still in class, notices the small device given earlier detecting Izzy's tattoo powers. He excuses himself from class and heads to the roof, where he spots Izzy leaping from building to building toward Lisa's safe house. Meanwhile, Lisa and Ill exchange words before their confrontation. Lisa questions Ill about discovering their safe house location, but Ill focuses solely on Lisa's tattoo ability. Lisa commends Ill's speed and power in defeating so many men quickly. She then promises to prevent Ill's escape. Ill, compelled to fight, activates her powers and uses her new weapon to severely injure Lisa's arms. While jumping between buildings, Izzy encounters Laka's interference device and temporarily loses bodily control. She falls onto Laka's building, where he briefly lectures her before departing. Seigi arrives moments later, demanding to know why she suddenly left school in such a hurry. While Seigi and Izzy converse and catch up, Lisa finally discovers Ill's special ability. She fires several shots at Ill to draw her closer. Then, Lisa detonates a bomb, causing an explosion that Seigi and Izzy hear nearby. Izzy, terrified about Lisa's fate, pleads with Seigi to check the safe house and confirm her condition. Seigi rushes to the building and finds blood everywhere. He becomes serious and heads to the roof, where he discovers Ill standing near Lisa's crucified body. Meanwhile, Izzy discovers an explosive beneath her building's roof and attempts to escape the blast radius. Unfortunately, her body, still recovering from Laka's gravity-inducing powers, fails to escape before the bomb detonates. Before engaging Ill in combat, Seigi discusses morality and the consequences of being a killer for the wrong people. Ill, showing no concern about her employers, stands up and decides to eliminate Seigi. Seigi charges at her, hoping to land a strike before it's too late. Unfortunately, Ill pushes him off the building's roof, and Seigi plummets until Tom catches him. Although he attempts to return to the roof to continue the fight, it's too late. Ill and her associates have already departed with Lisa. In the next scene, Seigi sneaks back to school to find Tuco waiting to scold him. She questions his whereabouts, but Seigi refuses to explain. When she becomes pushy, Seigi responds with slight aggression. He quickly controls his anger and apologizes for his behavior before running away. Tuco returns upstairs and zones out until her friend calls her back, asking what's wrong. Tuco explains her fight with Seigi and her fear of being on his bad side. Her friend advises her not to worry too much and instead focus on getting closer to Seigi. Moments later, Izzy, having survived the explosion, regains bodily control and makes her way to Lisa's former safe house. She discovers Lisa's phone and learns that it recorded the entire entire conversation between Lisa and Il during their fight. After playing the recording, she realizes Il and Laka are taking Lisa to another kingdom to use her. She throws the phone to Tom and tells him to prepare for Lisa's rescue from their enemies. Unknown to them, Laka and Il are already treating Lisa's wounds in preparation for their planned tests on her body. Seigi returns to Izzy's safe house and finds Tuko there. Before he can apologize, Tuko dismisses it and suggests they go inside. Seigi follows Tuko into the basement where they find Izzy in her long coat. After a brief greeting, Izzy suddenly pins Seigi down and handcuffs him. She then exits the safe house and enters a vehicle heading to Il's hideout. After regaining consciousness, Seigi questions Tom about his restraint. Tom explains that Izzy's actions were meant to protect him from being captured by the enemy leader. When Tuko asks about her presence there, Tom tells her she's meant to provide support for Seigi. Tuko responds by promising to stay by Seigi's side wherever he goes. Finding his resolve, Seigi breaks free from his handcuffs, knocks Tom unconscious, and voids out the entire building above the basement so they can escape and locate Lisa. Later that night, Izzy and her team position themselves to intercept a vehicle transporting Lisa from Il's hideout to Princess Arya. They successfully stop the vehicle at the seaport. Laka, eager for combat, welcomes Izzy and her men to an all-out battle against himself and Il. As the battle unfolds, Princess Arya of Serbia arrives in Japan on her private jet. One of her female entourage welcomes her and provides a mission status briefing. Meanwhile, Laka reaches his peak and releases all his stored energy to defeat Izzy's men. Il excuses herself to attack Izzy's men from behind. Laka unleashes his full power and swiftly eliminates all of Izzy's forces. Afterwards, Izzy sneaks behind him and shoots him in the face. On the port's other side, Il approaches and takes out Izzy's men with her tattoo abilities. Seigi and Tuko arrive dramatically to prevent Il from defeating the remaining forces. Seigi smashes a blood bag and activates his void powers. He again criticizes Il for killing for pleasure, but she remains indifferent about her targets as long as she survives. Enraged, Il attacks Seigi with full force and pins him against a container. As she slowly approaches him with raised sword, Tom calls Tuko to give Seigi the receiver for an urgent message. Tuko throws the receiver to Seigi, who catches it while evading Il's relentless attacks. When Seigi answers, Tom quickly reveals Il's weakness. As the Schrödinger cat, her technique relies on the uncertainty principle. To defeat her, Seigi must close his eyes and stop observing her power. Seigi follows Tom's instructions but is shocked when Il maintains control of her powers, slashing his belly. Unknown to Seigi, Tuko's presence nearby serves as another observer, allowing Il to maintain her powers. As Lisa struggles with her handcuffs, Seigi, bleeding profusely, staggers toward Tuko to protect her. Tuko, consumed by rage, lunges at Il and pins her against the wall. The spectators, including Il herself, are stunned by Tuko's unexpected strength that momentarily pushes back even Schrödinger's cat. Despite this, Il quickly overpowers Tuko, knocking her to the ground. As Il prepares to deliver a final blow, Seigi experiences an internal transformation. Guided by a mysterious inner voice from the Void Maker, he surrenders to his powers to save Tuko. Though uncertain of the voice's instructions, Seigi allows his abilities to take control, balance, and fall into the sewers. Seigi leaps after them, simultaneously rescuing Tuko and striking a devastating blow by punching a hole through Il's stomach, rendering her incapacitated. Il collapses, too weak to stand. Just as Seigi prepares to deliver a fatal strike, he is unexpectedly stopped by Il's cat. As he attempts to engage in dialogue, the Serbian princess Arya suddenly appears. In a shocking move, she kisses Seigi, expressing admiration for his compatibility with the triggerless tattoo. She praises him for making someone like Il cry, but warns that losing further control of his powers could have destroyed both girls. Overwhelmed with questions, Seigi can abilities. Believing the fight concluded, Izzy commits a critical error by turning her back on Laka. Seizing the opportunity, Laka grins and activates his gravity effect, pinning Izzy to the ground. As he approaches to deliver a fatal blow, Lisa arrives with her team and eliminates Laka definitively. Arya and Il subsequently join Lisa and Izzy for a brief conversation before Arya withdraws from the conflict. Before departing, she dramatically reveals the sealed triggerless tattoo, demonstrating her formidable power. She cryptically instructs Seigi to become stronger using his available weapon before vanishing. Lisa discovers Seigi's capabilities and becomes furious with Izzy for concealing information. As a consequence, Lisa is taken to the penitentiary for trial with Brigadier General Sanders. Her punishment involves monitoring Seigi during their tattoo research. Surprisingly, Izzy escapes punishment and is allowed to go free. During a shopping trip, Seigi and Tuko unexpectedly encounter Arya and Il. Tuko boldly challenges Arya to a ping pong match, while Seigi heads out for groceries. Arya accepts the challenge, engaging in an intense game. Despite Tuko's full effort, she proves no match for Arya, who not only defeats her, but also dramatically tears off her clothes. Returning shortly after, Seigi scolds Tuko for her bizarre competition. Seigi subsequently takes Arya to a bench and demands a complete explanation. Arya reveals her primary motivation, creating a world of peace. She then departs, appointing Bibi, her former colleague, to oversee Seigi and ensure he doesn't deviate from the right path. BB accepts the assignment with determination. The following morning, during breakfast at Seigi's residence, Izzy discusses the US Army's complex situation. She asks Seigi if he'll join their ranks. Acknowledging America's potential to use tattoos for global domination, Seigi firmly declares his allegiance is not to America, but to their side. Izzy expresses gratitude and continues her meal. Meanwhile, Arya awakens and boards a helicopter to her next city destination. That evening, BB meets Seigi for the first time. Perceiving BB as a threat, Seigi attempts to attack him. BB swiftly and decisively defeats Seigi, effectively subduing him to ensure he listens to what BB wants to communicate. After incapacitating Seigi, BB loads him into his vehicle and drives towards a massive facility. During the journey, Seigi's phone rings with an incoming call from Izzy. BB answers, catching Izzy mid-transit between city buildings. Upon hearing BB's voice, or Blood's, Izzy freezes, as if confronted by a ghost. BB briefly converses with her, assuring he'll return Seigi after completing his task. Arriving at the large building, BB awakens Seigi and explains its significance. They're at one of Arya's kingdom's most extensive research centers, notorious for conducting disturbing human experiments. When Seigi questions why he should follow BB, the latter reveals his backstory, a former kingdom member who turned against the organization after discovering the inhumane research practices. His current mission is to completely destroy the facility. Convinced by BB's explanation, Seigi uses his power to break a hole in the facility's wall. As they navigate the inner chambers, BB begins to share a compelling narrative about the Voidmaker tattoo, revealing details that Izzy and her partner Tom had previously omitted from their account. According to historical records, 4 Voidmaker tattoos exist, with Seigi possessing one on his palm and BB having his on his tongue. Correspondingly, 4 ruins support these tattoo users. 3 ruins have been discovered and controlled by competing nations. America controls 1, Arya's kingdom controls 2, and the Brahm team is currently searching for the 4th in Japan. Simultaneously, Arya, Il, and her vice captain Cal descend through a ground hole into an underground forest cave, seeking to secure the final ruin before America. During their descent, Arya playfully fondles Il's chest, prompting Cal to reprimand her and refocus her attention on the mission. BB and Seigi encounter enemies while navigating the facility's inner chambers. BB effortlessly neutralizes them without activating his Voidmaker powers, then guides Seigi deeper into the facility. They encounter Mr. Genius, whose real name is Karam, who displays his madness before releasing synthetic sealed copycats to fight them. Intrigued, BB questions Karam about his experiments. Karam coldly reveals he used humans as guinea pigs, forcibly fusing their bodies with the tattoo's nucleus to create synthetic hosts, with powers mimicking genuine tattoo users. As a deadly contingency, he implanted bombs within these test subjects, designed to detonate upon contact and eliminate enemies. BB strategically identifies these bombs, clustering them together before deploying his powers. While traversing the cave, Arya and her subordinates discuss BB, the kingdom's traitor. Cal passionately vows to personally crush him with her own hands. BB strategically clusters the enemies and uses his void powers to create an artificial frequency that simultaneously destroys the bombs and renders them unconscious. Karam watches in disbelief as his plans crumble. BB swiftly arrests him, breaking into his cubicle. Manisha, Karam's assistant, attempts to protect her master, but Karam prevents her sacrifice by blocking her path and begging BB for mercy. BB nonetheless knocks them both unconscious and awaits military arrest. After completing his mission, BB takes Seigi to the mountains, embodying a heroic persona. Meanwhile, in another part of Japan, Arya undresses and begins the process of fusing with the last ruin to seize control. BB visits his doctor, delivering a flash drive containing technology to help recharge his powers, which had been recovering slower than usual. Later, he finds Seigi training by the riverside and joins him. He offers guidance on void powers, advising Seigi to minimize his power's scale to maximize its impact on the affected area. Seigi comprehends the lesson and continues training. That evening, BB encounters Izzy, who awaits him with emotional anticipation. She addresses him as Blood and asks why he left the American military program. BB initially dismisses Izzy, but she persistently embraces him tightly, pleading for something to hold on to. He reveals the critical information about the 4 ruins. If a single force could control all of them simultaneously, that person would possess the power to rewrite the entire world. Izzy looks at him with concern and calls him selfish for attempting to handle everything alone. BB disregards her comment and departs. Hours later, BB visits his doctor for an update on the tattoo rewrite he requested. Unfortunately, no progress has been made, forcing BB to continue waiting. The following day, Tuko bursts into Seigi's dojo wearing only her nightie. She finds Seigi sleeping on the floor and moves uncomfortably close. Seigi awakens, inadvertently activating a physical response to Tuko's proximity. Sitting directly on him, Tuko suddenly becomes aware of the rising tension and panics. Eventually, they move past the awkward moment, with Tuko making Seigi promise never to leave her side again. Colonel Sanders briefs Seigi and Tuko on their critical mission: infiltrate the location location of the fourth ruin and destroy it before Arya and her team can fuse and activate its power. Seigi confirms Sanders has considered Tuco's safety, and Sanders reassures him that they've already accounted for her protection. Lisa introduces Seigi to the members of Team Blue, emphasizing the importance of teamwork. She provides Seigi with detailed mission parameters to ensure he fully understands the operation. Sanders delivers a final motivational speech, energizing his team and boosting their fighting spirit. Simultaneously, BB undergoes a restorative medical procedure in Wiseman's office. During the treatment, they discuss the ongoing battle. Concerned about Izzy, BB requests to be removed from the MRI machine to rush to her aid. However, Wiseman advises patience, urging BB to complete the procedure to ensure he can move forward without risking his life. BB heeds the doctor's advice and relaxes to finish the treatment. As Sanders' team approaches the mountains, they unleash a barrage of machine gun fire on the fourth ruin's location. When the firepower becomes excessive, Seigi protests, but Sanders firmly explains that this is war, and Seigi must become comfortable with the concept of killing. The team descends from their attack helicopter and takes strategic positions to ambush the ruins. Captain Johnson rashly charges forward, directly confronting Cal, the Brahmin Kingdom's vice-captain. Cal swiftly dispatches him, slicing him in half, and summons her subordinates to engage the American military forces. Inside the ruin, a maid soldier reports the external situation to Arya, who is mid-fusion with the fourth ruin. She pauses her procedure and instructs Il to exit and support Cal, first providing her with a power boost. Il complies, receiving the enhancement before heading outside. The battle intensifies. Izzy and her colleagues struggle against Cal's devastating air-slicing attacks. Seigi attempts to corner Cal but ultimately decides to pursue Arya instead. Cal intercepts and temporarily incapacitates him before returning to the fight. The conflict escalates into full-scale warfare between Cal's subordinates and the American forces. Suddenly, Il emerges from the ground, transforming into a massive, powerful beast. Consumed by uncontrollable bloodlust, Il systematically destroys the attack helicopters. Sanders' chopper is quickly downed, but he manages to save both himself and Tuco. Cal confronts Sanders, launching her air slice attacks. Sanders skillfully dodges and counters with his own flying air punches. Recognizing Sanders' formidable strength, Cal commits to an all-out assault. Inside the cave, Arya completes her transformation. After dressing, she playfully fondles one of her maid's chests and instructs her to retrieve scattered tattoos. Outside, Sanders lands a devastating blow on Cal's belly. Collaborating with Izzy, he manipulates air density, momentarily trapping Cal in an airlock. Cal quickly escapes, retaliating with flying blade slices that sever Sanders' right hand and leg. Same attack completely disables Izzy's hand. Helpless, Izzy retreats to a tree, awaiting Cal's fatal strike. At the moment of seemingly certain death, BB arrives on his motorcycle, shocking Sanders and Izzy with his unexpected rescue. During their confrontation, BB discovers the entire scenario is a trap designed to lure him to the ruins and steal his tattoo's power. Arya emerges and finds Seigi lying on the ground. She lifts him, pinning him against an earthen wall with her pincer. Before immobilizing him, she reveals her ultimate goal, using the Four Ruins' power to rewrite the tattoo world and establish herself as supreme ruler. Her strategy for BB is to wait until he exhausts his energy and dies, allowing her to retrieve his tattoo without direct conflict. When Seigi attempts to protest, Arya swiftly stabs him, silencing him. A short distance away, BB confronts Cal about her feelings, causing her initial embarrassment. However, he crushes her hopes by declaring his heart belongs to Izzy. Enraged, Cal attempts to eliminate BB with a single powerful strike. BB blocks her attack and prepares to counterattack. Before the battle erupts, Izzy experiences a flashback to a previous intimate moment with BB. He had examined her tattoos, asking if she hated them. Izzy had responded that she'd grown accustomed to using tattoos, having been forced to adapt over time. Wiseman, having sent BB into battle, contemplates the nanomachines he installed in BB's system, hoping they will sustain BB's power during his confrontation with Cal. The epic battle commences with BB and Cal exchanging void powers and air slicers. Simultaneously, Lisa eliminates one of her pursuers and checks on Colonel Sanders, discovering he's barely clinging to life. Without hesitation, she contacts Burns, appointing him interim captain while Sanders receives critical medical care. She then rushes towards the ongoing fight between BB and Cal, curious about BB's unexpected presence. Burns immediately begins issuing orders to salvage the remaining soldiers. He witnesses Il, still in her monstrous beast form, brutally slicing a soldier in half. Recognizing the imminent danger, he orders a full retreat to prevent further casualties. He entrusts Tuco to Tom, urgently instructing him to escort her far from the battlefield. As Tuco escapes the forest, her thoughts drift to Seigi, desperately hoping he is safe. Seigi struggles against Arya's constraints, unable to free himself. Arya mockingly labels him a key to her success and remains tight-lipped when he attempts to question her further. As Bibi and Cal continue their intense battle, Tuco courageously returns to the battleground to search for Seigi. Tom attempts to follow her, but his tattoo's copy effects expire, leaving him stranded. Burns and Lisa stand as the last line of defense against Ill's monstrous form. They fist bump and commit to defeating her. Bibi manages to slice off Cal's katana, driving her into a rage. She unleashes her ultimate attack. Although Bibi dodges most of her strikes, a single hit inflicts significant damage to his limbs. Ill proves equally ruthless against Burns and Lisa, employing every possible attack to eliminate them. At a moment when the duo believes they've trapped the beast, Ill counterattacks. Burns sacrifices himself in a massive explosion, saving Lisa's life. Nearby, Izzy attempts to sneak up on Arya. Anticipating her approach, Arya attacks and crucifies Izzy using earthen materials. Simultaneously, Bibi crashes to the ground, missing a limb. He pleads with his power source to grant him enough strength to defeat Cal. Miraculously, his missing limb regenerates instantly. Before engaging, Arya reiterates her plans to Seigi, advising him to surrender. Seigi, however, refuses to yield. He defiantly shouts at Arya, urging her to stop her destructive plans. Bibi and Cal engage in a second round of combat, but Bibi's weakened state leaves him at a significant disadvantage. Sensing Bibi's struggle, Seigi desperately pleads with his power source for assistance. His source responds, granting him enough power to break free from Arya's constraints. Seigi rushes to Bibi's aid, helping him defeat Cal with a massive, explosive shockwave. Immediately after Cal's defeat, Bibi's source begins to consume his body. In his final moments, Bibi implores Seigi to consume him so his power won't go to waste. Emotionally overwhelmed and fearful, Seigi hesitates. Arya attempts to intervene, but Sanders arrives at the crucial moment, creating a diversion that allows Seigi to consume Bibi and his source. Seigi absorbs the power, becoming slightly stronger. Exhausted, Seigi lies on the ground, staring blankly into the distance. As Tuco runs towards him, before he can call her name, Ill suddenly appears and devours her. Moments later, Ill transforms back to her human form and approaches Arya. Recognizing their mission's completion, Arya establishes a protective barrier around the fourth ruin. Seigi and his team escape Arya and are transported to Wiseman's laboratory. Seigi waits patiently for Wiseman to arrive and discuss their next steps. Wiseman first explains why Ill's source didn't overtake her soul during the previous battle with Arya. With a smile, Wiseman apologizes to Seigi for bringing him into such a complex and dangerous world. Izzy arrives, now with only one arm, and threatens Wiseman, demanding he take care or face dire consequences. Maintaining his composure, Wiseman commends Izzy's strength and resilience. Unimpressed by compliments, Izzy continues to hold a knife against him and demands to know Bibi's true aim. Wiseman reveals a surprising truth. Bibi had always been working towards destroying tattoos and eliminating them from the world. However, he warns that Bibi's unfortunate fate on the battlefield might similarly await Seigi, now that he has inherited a portion of Bibi's power. Before their confrontation escalates, Wiseman instructs Seigi to enter an animus-like pod so he can examine Bibi's memories. Without hesitation, Seigi enters the animus object and begins exploring Bibi's memories. In one memory, he witnesses Bibi sparring with Cal on his first day joining the Brahmin team. While holding his ground against the skilled swordswoman, the kingdom's king approaches his daughter Arya, who is observing their practice, and questions whether she can trust Bibi, a former American military member. Arya reassures her father, explaining that Bibi has provided crucial secrets about the American army, and even if he harbors hidden intentions, she knows how to handle him. After completing his sparring session with Cal, Ajita, the Brahmin forces captain, arrives and welcomes Bibi to the team. Varma, another Brahmin team member, also personally greets Bibi. Arya then appears and offers her own welcome. As a gesture of appreciation for the secrets he shared, she presents Bibi with a triggerless tattoo and continues her activities. Shortly after, Bibi excuses himself and explores the building's blueprints in a small house. While researching, he opens a door and finds Cal in the process of changing. He politely waits for her to finish and then initiates a conversation. Cal provides Bibi with a brief overview of the team's rules and expectations. That night, Bibi is perched on a hill, surveying strategic vantage points for his attack. He's operating as a double agent, aiming to uncover and destroy the secrets of the sealed tattoos. While observing, he detects movement in nearby bushes and discovers Varma. Bibi swiftly attacks and pins Varma down for interrogation. Through intense questioning, he learns that Varma is a spy sent by the king to monitor his daughter's activities. Varma, recognizing Bibi's true identity, proposes a mutual cooperation and promises to keep his secret. Bibi probes Varma about the palace and research facility details. Suddenly, Ganesha, one of Arya's most formidable creatures, appears and attacks them. Bibi creates an escape route for Varma while engaging Ganesha in combat. She strikes Bibi's side with her earthy sword, violently throwing him several meters away. Bibi quickly assesses and heals his wound, then proceeds to the king's castle, where he finds Varma already present. Varma speaks favorably of Bibi, recommending the king allow him to work together. The king evaluates BB's intentions and welcomes him. However, BB seeks clarification first, revealing Arya's plot to overthrow the king and claim the throne. The king becomes defensive and orders BB to leave his room. On his way back to his quarters, BB encounters Arya, who invites him to join her and Cal on a mission. BB embarks on his first mission as a Brahmin operative, collaborating with Cal to neutralize enemies. Cal becomes concerned when she notices BB's reluctance to kill his former comrades. BB explains his personal philosophy of sparing both sinners and saints, leaving ultimate judgment to a higher power. Cal dismissively scoffs, swiftly killing the enemy with her sword before returning inside. The following day, Arya arrives at their safe house with Iltutmish, also known as Schrodinger's cat. At the time, Il was still quite unrefined, limiting her capabilities. BB continues his stakeout with Varma, keeping a low profile. One night, BB demonstrates his power to Varma and reveals their plan to infiltrate Samsara, Arya's hideout. Before departing, BB inquires about the king's defensive reaction when confronted about Arya. Varma explains the king's deep love for his daughter, hoping BB understands. BB compassionately acknowledges this and encourages Varma to have faith in the future. Suddenly, Ganesha attacks again, and BB, with Varma's assistance, counters and destroys her tattoo, using his Voidmaker power. Despite his vision becoming blurry, BB remains committed to his mission. He punches through a wall, entering the inner chamber of Arya and her sister's playroom. Varma is shocked to discover multiple Aryas playing together. Surprisingly, one of the Arya sisters introduces her siblings to them and offers a facility tour. She guides them to a control room housing thousands of pods containing Arya's clones. Intrigued, BB begins asking questions about the clones. Arya pauses the inquiry and decides to share the history of the clones. 35 years ago, the kingdom's king committed mass murder, exterminating an entire clan in his obsessive quest to create a powerful tool like Arya. He would gather numerous people and operate on them like laboratory subjects, attempting to generate a single organism such as Arya. One of BB's objectives is activated, and he captures several sisters, quickly burning critical information onto a flash drive before escaping the facility. Arya discovers this and immediately orders Cal to stop BB at any cost. Cal intercepts BB in the woods and kills Varma during their confrontation. BB escapes and takes Varma to the king to confront his inhumane actions. It emerges that when the Control Arya learned of her father's crimes, she dedicated her life to rewriting the world and saving the 3,000 lives her ruthless father had eliminated. Realizing he's been exposed, Arya's father surrenders and reveals everything to BB. Contrary to expectations, BB swears to protect the king from his dangerous daughter, recognizing Arya as a far more significant threat than he initially believed. The king reluctantly provides BB with a secret railway, allowing him to reach Arya's hideout undetected and protect the nation and its people. BB takes the secret train and arrives at a port. There, he confronts and defeats Il before facing Cal, who attacks him with full intensity. BB manages to create a barrier between himself and Cal while rushing towards Arya's control location. During his journey, BB suddenly comprehends the naivety of his heroic self-perception. Without warning, the captain's intangible prison envelops and traps BB completely. With moments before being pulverized, BB escapes the intangible prison. Control Arya appears shortly after, firing a void laser beam at a departing ship, narrowly missing her target. She instructs Cal to find and eliminate BB by any means necessary. BB emerges in the water, clinging to the ship to continue his journey. After experiencing this memory, Seigi finds himself in limbo with BB. Emotionally, he expresses the challenging path ahead. BB responds calmly, assuring Seigi he'll support him every step of the way. Months later, former Team Blue members now live in the woods, isolated from Arya's forces. While fishing, Izzy and a now significantly stronger Seigi discuss BB, the princess, and Wiseman. Izzy expresses concern about Wiseman's potential betrayal, but Seigi encourages her not to worry, claiming he has everything under control. He then catches a massive fish and returns to their training grounds. That evening after training, Seigi and the remaining Team Blue members consume a protein-rich, unconventional meal. Izzy complains about eating worms, prompting Tama to playfully force some into her mouth. Izzy reacts by attacking him in frustration. After their meal, Seigi and his team train in the woods. This time, Seigi outperforms everyone, completing the training exceptionally well. Upon returning, Izzy receives a call from HQ revealing their location has been discovered by Arya and her forces. She finds a CD labeled Letter and takes it to HQ for analysis. The next day, Seigi and Izzy arrive at HQ to review the CD's contents. Wiseman attempts to discourage them from watching the video, but Seigi demands he stop interfering and allow them to view it. After playing the video, they discover Arya is keeping Lisa alive and plans to invade the Grand Canyon in America to seize control of the fourth ruin. Seigi urges Wiseman to mobilize their forces to stop Arya. However, Wiseman advises waiting for the virus he planted in Seigi's tattoo to fully activate. His strategy is to let Arya potentially seize the ruin, and when she tries to use Seigi's tattoo to release it, the virus will sabotage everything and destroy both Arya and the ruin. Seigi continues to argue, but Wiseman challenges him to consider BB's approach. At this moment, Izzy speaks up for BB, asserting that he would immediately rush to save Lisa without hesitation. She points her gun at Wiseman, demanding he mobilize American troops to rescue Lisa before Arya can kill her. Wiseman ultimately yields to her demand and instructs them to prepare for departure to America. While the team prepares, Tama visits Yumi, who works as a cosplayer for a manga company. He finds her among her colleagues and promises to marry her if he returns from America. Yumi becomes anxious about his potential overseas dangers, but Tama reassures her, urging her to wait for her hero to save the world. Team Blue flies to the Grand Canyon to join Sanders and his forces. One evening during routine scouting, Ajita, the Brahmin group's captain, appears and threatens to take down Sanders' team. Minutes after arriving, Izzy and her team engage in battle. Seigi clears a path through the ravines and encounters Laka and his partner. Observing Laka and his partner decimating soldiers, Seigi and his team realize they must act quickly. Izzy jumps from a hill and attacks Laka's partner, shocking herself by discovering it's Lisa. Tama saves soldiers from being completely destroyed, knocking out those who complain. He confronts Lisa, introducing himself before being interrupted by her verbose partner. The two exchange heated insults before fighting. Izzy defeats Lisa and attacks the talkative Laka, becoming more serious than usual and promising to inflict significant damage. Seigi locates the ruin in the canyon and uses his Voidmaker to drill into the underground cave, descending to its location. He encounters Cal and engages in battle, learning that the princess is already inside the ruin. Cal informs him that destroying the ruin is nearly impossible. Seigi allows a fragment of BB's source to take over, enabling his body to regenerate after devastating attacks. He hurls derogatory remarks at Cal and begins fighting. Simultaneously, Tama employs his sealed power to enhance his strength while battling one of Laka's partners. Izzy holds her ground against Laka, becoming trapped with her teammates Lawrence and Tony. She quickly issues orders and rushes to confront Lisa. Laka brutally beats Tony and Lawrence. Izzy breaks Lisa's swords and forcefully removes the Schrodinger's cat from her body. After her victory, she hears Lawrence and Tony's agonizing screams as Laka uses wire strings to slice their insides. Laka eliminates Lawrence and prepares to take down Tony. Izzy intervenes, shooting a venomous bullet that poisons Laka. On another part of the battlefield, Tama pins one of Laka's partners to the wall. The woman creates internal spines, surrounding herself with them. As Tama strengthens his muscles to finish her, Izzy hurls Laka at the woman. Tama ultimately takes out both opponents. Seigi continues his battle against Cal, sustaining injuries throughout the fight. During a momentary pause, he questions Cal about her support for Arya's quest to become a deity. Cal explains the intricate connection between Arya and her sisters, emphasizing that Arya's ascension would bring unprecedented benefits to them. After her explanation, Seigi realizes that Arya will ultimately lose herself if successful. He feels a profound sense of sympathy for her. As Cal charges, Seigi stops her, declaring he will never allow Arya to triumph over humanity. He steals one of her swords and uses it against her. Cal decides to unleash her full potential. She partially undresses, thanking Seigi for the opportunity to use her strongest attack. Taking her stance, she challenges Seigi to approach her. Seigi takes a deep breath and charges forward. He endures several of Cal's powerful hits, allowing Beast's soul to guide him through the battle. When he finally sees an opening, Seigi delivers a decisive punch that knocks Cal unconscious. In her final moments before losing consciousness, Cal sees BB and curses him for being so distant from her. Moments later, Arya appears fully transformed, having absorbed the ruin's complete power. Seigi understands that everything he's trained for culminates in this confrontation. He concentrates void energy and launches blasts at Arya. However, Arya, having mastered control of the pure fuse energy, gracefully evades and counters all of Seigi's attacks. Arya dominates the battle, leaving Seigi on the defensive with no opportunity to counterattack. When the moment is right, she expands her power to form a giant, simultaneously delivering a lecture on the psychology of weakness and strength. Meanwhile, her team captain Ajita, losing the aerial battle with choppers, decides to self-destruct. He enlarges his seal into a massive form, creating an enormous crater that threatens to destroy everyone present. Izzy and the remaining team members wait for the explosion to subside. Descending into the crater, they find Sanders lying near a wall. After confirming his safety, they urgently rush towards Seigi, hoping to save him before Arya can completely destroy him. During her rush, Izzy glances at her family picture, wishing she never had to return to the place where she lost everything. Yet, she acknowledges that duty calls, and her only option is to accept it and save the world's sole hope, Seigi. Seigi struggles against Arya's overwhelming power. While lecturing him about altruism and selflessness, She punctures his belly and stabs his back with earth pincers. She describes humans as an infectious species, claiming she's cleansing the world of this infection. Arya creates a ground hole and punches Seigi to the lower level. Izzy, Tom, and Tama arrive immediately, tending to Seigi's wounds. Seigi desperately begs his colleagues to let him avenge Tuko's death, but Izzy and Tama refuse to allow any rash actions. They leave Seigi with Tom and confront the princess directly. Tom carries Seigi to Colonel Sanders, seeking help. Arya calmly sits on her throne, attacking Tama and Izzy. Izzy manages to throw Arya from her throne, but the victory is short-lived. Severely injured, Izzy is knocked unconscious. Arya sustains a minor hand injury, which irritates her so intensely that she collapses the entire cave to kill Izzy and Tama. After dealing with them, Arya floats to the surface and confronts Sanders and his choppers. Inside the helicopter, Sanders informs his men about a nuclear device he's placed in the Grand Canyon. He prepares them for the ultimate sacrifice to prevent Arya from achieving her goals. Sanders presses the nuclear activation button, but nothing happens. He loses his composure, screaming hysterically in the chopper. Frustrated with the situation, Seigi leaps from the helicopter, catching Izzy during his descent. As they fall, Arya materializes her source into a giant megazord, attempting to consume Seigi midair with one of its heads. However, Seigi's source breaks through the mouth, saving both himself and Izzy. Wiseman, observing everything on his large screen, activates the virus he previously slipped into Seigi's drink. The virus poisons Arya's megazord, prompting Seigi to materialize his own source and transform into a megazord. As Seigi transforms, the poison begins affecting Arya and her sisters through the connection established when she kissed him earlier. Despite the poison, Arya's megazord still manages to devastate Seigi's megazord. During the beating, Seigi enters a trance. Realizing how badly the battle is going, Tom shouts to him, urging him to rise and fight for the 7 billion people whose hopes and wishes depend on him. Motivated by Tom's words, Seigi recovers and breaks the jaw of Arya's megazord. Simultaneously, Izzy awakens in a trance and finds BB nearby. She runs to him, seeking comfort, and embraces him. Seigi regains control of his megazord, turning the battle's tide. He apologizes to everyone he's ever betrayed, including Tuko, and requests their strength for this final confrontation. In a fluid motion, he systematically beats down every inch of Arya's megazord. Meanwhile, the eldest sister manipulates the systems, absorbing the headaches of all her sisters to save them. Seigi continues pummeling Arya and her megazord, delivering relentless blows until his final strike. With the world's fate hanging in the balance, Seigi takes his ultimate stride towards victory, blasting Arya's megazord into complete oblivion. The battlefield falls silent as everyone awaits the battle's aftermath. As the dust settles, the American forces see Seigi as the sole survivor. They erupt into chants of their country's name, offering a victory cry to commemorate Seigi, the hero who rescued their nation from imminent destruction. Sanders, overwhelmed by the events, completely loses his mind and becomes permanently unhinged.